Welcome to Beyond the Bake Sale, Tips and Tricks to Increase Chapter Fundraising Success. My name is Sandra Pollack, and I will be presenting our webinar today. Whether it's raising money for mission or for chapter operational funds, one thing is for sure. Fundraising can be a daunting task, but it doesn't have to be. Over the next 30 minutes, we will show you how to create fundraising success for your chapter. Throughout this webinar, we will review the basics of a strong chapter fundraising program. We will share best practices for raising money for mission, and we will identify the procedures and forms needed to ensure that your members and your chapter get maximum credit for your fundraising success. We will also show you where to find additional information to support you and your members as you raise money for mission. When we are finished today, you will be able to recognize the key elements of successful fundraising. Each method of fundraising has its own unique characteristics, but they all have key concepts that make them successful. Together, we will find out what those key elements are so that you have the largest opportunity for success. Also, by the end of this webinar, you will be able to identify the various fundraising tools that are available to you. There are many different ways to raise money. The trick is to find the method that works for you. It's not magic. It just takes a little preparation to match methods to your membership and pick the right one. Finally, you will be able to access the various planning tools that NSDIR makes available. We have a variety of tools available for your use, including sample documents, worksheets, and lists of ideas. By the end of this webinar, you will know where to access these resources. So let's start with the keys to a strong fundraising program. These are planning, strong volunteer support, and a commitment to success. Let's take a look at each one individually. The first key to a strong fundraising program is thorough planning. Planning begins during your chapter's annual budget process and is completed at the conclusion of your event or activity. The earlier you get started, the better. Matching the program and operational needs of your chapter to available volunteer resources gives you the biggest chance for success. Through this process, you will learn about all of the programs being planned throughout the year. This is the time where you will assess which projects are most likely to motivate potential donors to contribute. You will also consider what programs might not get done if you are unable to generate additional funds. Coming out of this process, you will have identified the programs that you will raise funds for during the upcoming year. From here, you will complete a detailed budget for your planned activity. Sample budgets can be found on the Development Committee page of the member website. These will walk you through the important pieces of an event or other fundraising activity budget. You can also feel free to call us in the development office for more information. The overarching consideration as you begin your planning is that your fundraising efforts must support your mission. While this is obvious, it is easy to get sidetracked with interesting and fun ideas. Try to remember these three things. Fundraising promotions should clearly identify the needs that will be met through your fundraising effort. Be sure to connect your fundraiser with your program. People will participate when they understand how the money will be used and how it will benefit the community. The fundraising activity should support DAR programs of promoting historic preservation, education, and patriotism. This again helps those not involved in the organization learn more and become motivated to support your work. Finally, as you are planning, consider that your fundraising should educate and motivate public understanding and support for the DAR, and encourage new members and volunteers. Every successful fundraising activity, whether a special event, a sale, or personal solicitation, has a strong, well-organized volunteer group at its core. This is the next key to a strong fundraising program. This group plans and implements the fundraiser and is committed to its success. Enthusiasm is not enough here. There are 3 important things to remember when preparing your volunteers for fundraising. First, when choosing what type of fundraiser to do, match your proposed fundraising effort to your available volunteer resources. Choose your fundraising activity according to the volunteer resources that you have available to you. If you have many volunteers ready and willing to serve, then a larger fundraising activity would be appropriate. But if you know that you have a smaller group available, then choosing a less labor-intensive effort would be a smart idea. Here, we see a terrific-looking event, and it would be great to host this fundraiser in our chapter. But do we have the volunteer resources we need to make it work? Even though Rosie says, we can do it, it would be a good idea to honestly evaluate the numbers of volunteers that we have available and commit to something more realistic. This is the number 1 mistake volunteers make when planning their fundraising efforts, so don't underestimate the time and talent it takes to implement. So this is about where I get the question, how big should my committee be? The size of your volunteer planning committee depends on the size of your event, but a good way to start is to bring together 3 to 5 key individuals to begin the planning process. It will be their responsibility to identify the various jobs that need to be done and recruit others to assist them in implementing the fundraiser. Here, they will set up the structure that will include various committees and even subcommittees. The right number really depends on the size and scope of your fundraiser. But remember, there are many jobs for many personalities, so don't hesitate to get everyone involved in some way. Finally, strong communication with and among your committee members increases the likelihood of a productive fundraising effort. When your volunteers know what the goals and expectations are for success, they will always rise to the occasion. Be sure to share the financial and participation goals for your event. They need to know how much should be raised and how many people need to attend. You should also share your expectation of how the event will be run, and always be sure to circulate progress reports made by the various committee chairs. And now that your volunteer corps is established and you have the right people, the key is to get them the right information they need to carry out their assignments at the right time. As plans develop, everyone should be kept informed so that they are all well coordinated as the event is implemented. I'm sure it won't surprise you that the last key to a strong fundraising program is the chapter's commitment to fundraising success. Members need to wholeheartedly support the effort in whatever way they are able. So, encourage your members to take the leap. Members should be willing to step in and help do whatever is necessary within their abilities. Whether that be selling tickets or calling friends for support or posting the effort to their Facebook and Twitter pages, all members can find some way to support your fundraiser. If asking directly for a donation isn't their thing, maybe working behind the scenes might be more within their comfort zone. So, what type of fundraiser should we do? Let's start with a look at special events. We all know how fun and interesting special events are, but they do require planning and coordination. The secrets to successful special events are planning, careful oversight, attention to detail, communication, and follow-up. The events you see on the screen are all fun ways to raise money, but they do require some time and preparation. So allow 6 to 12 months to plan your event depending on the complexity. Plan a date that works in your community so that you're not competing with other activities. This is crucial to your success, as you don't want to be competing against other organizations and their activities or sporting events. Use a checklist to ensure that no detail gets missed, and be sure to evaluate your success at the end of the event. Remember, fundraise it only within your state, and we'll talk about this a little later on in the webinar. Be sure to check out the planning tools and the resources available on the development page of the member site in conjunction with the chapter fundraising guide. These will help you with your special event and walk you through step by step. Product sales are often one of the easiest ways of earning money for your chapter. We have become accustomed to seeing sales for candidates' fundraisers and for funding projects like the President General's Project. Specifically, we have seen the sale of jewelry, poinsettias and wreaths for the holidays, and various types of coupon programs. Many chapters already hold bake sales, white elephant sales, auctions, and garage sales. All are tried and true ways to raise additional funds for specific projects. But beware of possible tax concerns. Depending on the size of your sale and the location, you may be required to collect tax on products sold. This is becoming more and more prevalent, but don't be put off by this. Your benefit might outweigh the effort. Generally, nonprofit organizations must collect retail sales tax on their sales of goods and services, and I would encourage you to contact your state authority for more information. Ask about a reseller permit that for qualifying fundraising activities may allow you to purchase goods and services that will be resold at such events without paying sales tax. Additionally, the income generated from the qualifying fundraising event would not be subject to the sales tax. Again, this may seem like a lot of work, but the benefit may outweigh the effort, and so I would encourage you to call your local authority to gather additional information, or call the Office of Development, who can help you identify the correct resources and get you the information that you need to move this forward. So on to percentage of sales. This fundraiser is supported by local businesses and organizations who share a portion of their profits with charitable organizations. I recently shared a story about a youth sports team who worked with a popular family restaurant. The restaurant offered 10% of every check on a specific evening. All the team had to do was advertise. Many parents used their Facebook and Twitter accounts to share their information with friends. With little effort, the team collected $2,500. Wine shops, cupcake shops, and bakeries are all doing similar activities that both promote their business as well as contribute to local charities. Another opportunity for chapters is the concession stand at a local high school football or basketball game. They often offer a percentage of the evening's proceeds just to attract workers. This is a great opportunity because it exists as a contribution. Many chapters are already wrapping books for donations at local bookstores, and this is a wonderful activity for chapters with minimal resources. I'll bet you can think of other opportunities within your community for the same type of percentage of sales agreement. It is a terrific way to educate the public about the work of DAR. Next, we take a look at corporate sponsorship. Here, we receive contributions from local and regional businesses to support our programs. When securing sponsorships of this type, think about the following 3 things. Select a local or regional company that has some tie or interest to your planned activity. Identify the best contact at that company to receive your proposal, and consider what's in it for the company and tailor your proposal to their interests. For example, in the future, this Madonna on the Trail monument in Illinois, although beautiful now, may need refurbishing. Consider contacting a local garden store to supply the plants and labor. Local stonemasons could refurbish the brickwork, and local banks and other businesses could supply the cash to dedicate the statue and possibly create student curriculum for the local schools. Always consider the local community foundation. They often support and provide sponsorship grants for these types of activities. When people are motivated by your cause and asked personally for support, they will contribute. And so now let's talk about special gifts from individuals. For the right person, an annual cash gift is a great way to support the mission activities of your chapter. It could be a gift of $25 or even $2,500, depending on the person and the project. In your community, you know those individuals who may have an interest and or the ability to support your work. First, get to know their interests and ask for a gift that is consistent with that interest and their ability to contribute. They will thank you for providing them an opportunity to participate. Be sure to have the right person ask for the gift, and that means someone who either knows them very well or who the potential donor respects. Finally, thank them often, not only with a thank you note, but also with progress reports on your project. Your donors love to know how their contribution is making a difference. And speaking of thank you, it's a simple concept, but here are some things to know beyond the thank you note. For tax purposes, the donor is responsible for obtaining a written acknowledgement from DAR for any single contribution of $250 or more before they can claim a charitable contribution on his or her tax return. And DAR has made it a practice to always provide this written acknowledgement. Be sure to state the value of the gift received. For example, thank you for your gift of $2 million to support our historic house. Now that's a thank you note I want to write. Your acknowledgement must describe any goods or services that the organization provides in exchange for your contribution. Additionally, if the donor has received goods or services in exchange for a single payment in excess of $75, you're also required to provide a written disclosure stating those benefits. For your assistance, we have placed sample acknowledgments on the development page of the member website for your use. Take a look and be sure to use those as you craft your donor acknowledgement. It's often easy to think that when that last acknowledgement is done, that the fundraising activity is complete. But fundraising cannot be deemed a success or failure unless the activity is evaluated. The most important thing to remember about evaluation of your activity is that it's not just about the total number of dollars raised. Evaluation requires looking at income and expenses as well as reviewing the intangibles, like planning time, ease of implementation, or even the press coverage that your chapter gained from doing the fundraiser. Be sure to hold your evaluation within a week so the details are fresh in your head. Involve everyone who helped to plan the event. Evaluation forces us to set and examine objectives for fundraising, determine the possibility of achieving the fundraising goal in the future, redirect efforts on the next fundraising activity, and consider decision-making for additional fundraising. If you have sponsors or supporters who have given significant amounts, evaluation reassures them that their investment in your organization is worthwhile. Each state is different and has different rules, regulations, and laws that impact fundraising solicitation. So become familiar with these. Your colleagues in other chapters, as well as your state officers, may be able to direct you. But as always, you can feel free to call the NSDAR Office of Development, and we can help you identify the things that you need to be aware of. Some special considerations that you should be familiar with in your city and state include, but are not limited to, restrictions on the numbers of fundraisers that can be held during a designated time period, sales tax requirements, as we mentioned earlier, gambling licenses for events like quarter auctions and bingo, and food licenses for tasting and sales events, something we don't always remember to think about. With these planning considerations now understood, we will move on to NSDAR rulings. The rulings of the Executive Committee and National Board of Management and Continental Congress, as well as the bylaws and standing rules of the National Society, are quite clear about fundraising. All members are cautioned to check the most recent edition of the DAR Handbook, bylaws, and standing rules of NSDAR for guidelines. Let's take a look at two examples that we mentioned earlier in the webinar. In particular, related to fundraising outside of your state. This is particularly applicable for chapters who share a border. Standing Rule A3 states that chapters and individuals desiring an endorsement of any DAR project or wishing to solicit funds for any DAR work outside of their own state must do so only by authorization of the National Board of Management. This does require some consideration and collaboration with and among other chapters and states, so be sure to have that discussion and feel free to call our office for assistance in navigating the process. Another example pertains to the use of voices as a chance to participate in a drawing, lottery, or raffle. All state and local licensing laws and regulations must be followed, and if you call our office, we will assist you in identifying those rules and regulations that you need to know. Although we have mentioned them before, some of the resources and planning tools that are on the member site include the Chapter Fundraising Guide. The Chapter Fundraising Guide includes a great deal of information on all of the topics we've heard today, including planning tools for your use. I encourage you to take a look and share it with your other members. Additionally, the Special Event Idea List, which includes ideas from across the country of tried and true events for your consideration and implementation in your chapter. We mentioned sample acknowledgement letters. This will be a good resource for you as you acknowledge the many gifts that will come to your chapter as you begin to implement this fundraising program. And finally, the Development 1003 form, the form that you will use to make donations to NSDAR to receive credit for both your members and your chapter. We will continue to add additional resources as needed, so please ask us for the things, the tools that you need to implement fundraising on a chapter level. And as we hear from you, we will continue to add these resources to the website. If you're looking for more ideas, reach out on the DAR Facebook pages. Members are always willing to share their success. In the past 25 minutes, we have covered the basics of how you can implement a strong fundraising campaign in your chapter. It has been our pleasure to be with you today, and we look forward to working with you in the future. NSDAR development staff is available to attend your state conferences, fall forums, and meetings to help talk through some of these ideas or just provide a sounding board for the work you're already doing. We have several talented and helpful individuals to help answer your questions. We are available at 1-800-449-1776. Please don't hesitate to call us with any questions that you might have. Additionally, feel free to email me at spollock@dar.org. Again, it's been our pleasure to be with you today, and I thank you for attending Beyond the Bake Sale.